survive the spring break. I didn't get hurt.
All right. Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome. I'd like to call this meeting to order and welcome everyone to the Coeur d'Alene School District 271 regular board meeting of February 12th, 2024. Would everyone please stand and together we'll say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to introduce our participants this evening. Starting at my far right is Ms. Marianne Southwick, Clerk of the Board, Dr. Sean Hawker, Superintendent. To my left is Ms. Leslie Bierke, Vice Chair, Ms. Heather Tenbrink, Board Member, Ms. Allie Anderton, Board Member, Mr. Jimmy McAndrew, Board Member, and I'm Rebecca Smith, Chair of the Board. Public comment on district-related items is scheduled near the start of the meeting. Please sign up to speak at the sign-up sheet at the back of the room. Comments may also always be submitted to the board via email at trustees@cdaschools.org or in writing through our clerk. Thank you. We're going to go ahead and approve tonight's agenda. We have an ask from administration to pull 9A, which is policy 3500, just so that we can do some more work on that before it goes forward. So is there a motion to approve tonight's agenda and maybe make an amendment to that?
Sure. I'll move to amend tonight's agenda and remove item 9A.
Oh, we need, is that good? All right. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Thank you for that. We're going to start then this.
Do we still need to
And now
amend the?
approve the, see, that's what I was looking
Okay.
at, right? Did you, that, yeah. And is there a motion to approve tonight's amended agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thanks. And then we're going to start tonight by recognizing our January Teachers of the Month.
All right, we have some great teachers who are honored as our January Teachers of the Month. At the high school level, Skylar Mance was our high school teacher of the month. He's a therapeutic support teacher at Venture Academy. His principal said Skylar is tireless in support and advocacy of students and the teachers who serve them. Skylar has been a force for positive change to make school an emotionally safe place where students learn the skills they need to function successfully in life. So congratulations to Mr. Mance. At the middle school level, our teacher of the month in January was Julia Smolkowski. She's a 7th grade math teacher at Lakes Middle School. Her principal said she goes above and beyond to help the students and the staff at Lakes. Julia volunteers her time outside of the classroom at many school events and is also an integral part of the Lakes leadership team, as well as the district team. Julia is passionate about students and the field of education and works tirelessly to ensure her students are learning every day. And at the elementary leader level, our teacher of the month was Abby Freemal. Mrs. Freemal, her principal says, facilitates morning meetings and has inspired our school with her Kindness 101 initiative, where students are learning the importance of being active contributors of goodwill within our community. She emphasizes citizenship and responsibility for oneself and how this elevates the learning and growing experiences for all students. So we're super grateful to have these teachers in our district, along with all of our great teachers. Thank you so much.
Terrific. Going to welcome up Dr. Nelson, and it is sure a pleasure to have so many special spellers in our meeting this evening, and so Dr. Nelson's going to welcome up our spellers, and we're going to recognize you.
Chair Smith, thank you. On behalf of all of us in Coeur d'Alene Public Schools, we are so pleased to welcome all of our winners of our district spelling bee. It was held just this last month on January 31st at Coeur d'Alene High School. And students in grades 4 through 8 participated in the North Idaho Spelling Bee just this last weekend. We'd like to congratulate 8th grader at Coeur d'Alene Charter Academy and a Coeur d'Alene kid, Amaya Van Hill, who attended Hayden Meadows Elementary School in our district, for her win at the North Idaho Spelling Bee. She's now on her way to Washington, D.C. in May to represent all of us at the National Spelling Bee. But at the District Spelling Bee, too, there was a little bit of a momentous event. Do you notice anything about the pictures? It was a male sweep at the North Idaho Spelling Bee this year. So ladies, come on now. We've got to pick it up for next year, but we'll do it. It is my pleasure to introduce to you all of our winners, starting in 3rd grade. Representing Hayden Meadows Elementary School, with a word meaning becoming diffused throughout every part of an item. Today, joined by family Jonathan and Marty Bott, as well as twin sibling Jamie, please welcome Jeremy Bott.
Come on up, Jeremy. Here, come on up. You can come stand right here.
All right, Jeremy.
And then
Your championship word, one more time, was pervading.
Pervading. P-E-R-V-A-D-I-N-G. Parading.
Perfect.
shake my hand. Sure, you can shake my hand. And then I'm going to stand right over there, okay? All right.
Representing 4th grade from Atlas Elementary School. Today, with parents Michael and Jody Crisp, as well as sibling Brennan. In fact, this student finished in 4th place in all of North Idaho. His word is a mountain, 14,691 feet high in the Pyrenees Alps on the border between Switzerland and Italy. Please welcome McKinley Crisp.
Sweet. You can hold that.
McKinley, your championship word was Matterhorn.
Matterhorn. M-A-T-T-E-R-H-O-R-N. Matterhorn.
Well done. You can stand right over there.
Our 5th grade winner this year comes from Ramsey Magnet School of Science. He's here today with mother Tracy Benson and siblings Lennon, Maisie, and Johan. His word, a usually electronic device for performing mathematical calculations. Please welcome Dorian Beeson. Dorian, your championship word was calculator.
Calculator. C-A-L-C-U-L-A-T-O-R. Calculator.
Now let's get to our middle schools, representing Canfield Middle School. He's here today with family, mother Miranda Haas, and siblings Clover and Elena. His definition, a Scottish lake. Please welcome August Haas. August, your championship word was lock.
Lock. L-O-C-H. Lock.
Our 7th grade winner is a Woodland Middle School Grizzly. He is here today with family, Dan and Cami Shaw, siblings Eli, Jackson, and Madeline. The definition of his word, any of a family of usually tufted monocytodosis marsh plants, differing from the related grasses in having acnaces and solid stems. Please welcome Logan Shaw. Logan, your championship word was sedge.
Sedge. S-E-D-G-E. Sedge.
And finally, our 8th grade winner also comes from Canfield Middle School. He's joined tonight by his father, John Newell. His definition, here it is, long one: a black and white auk with a deep bill that is said to resemble a straight razor, found in the North Atlantic and Baltic Sea, any of a number of celestial bodies that may have existed at an early stage of the development of the solar system. Please welcome our 8th grade champion, Brody Newell. Brody, your championship word was planetesimal.
Planetesimal. Planetesimal. Planetesimal.
You guys all want to stand up here on the edge?
Ladies and gentlemen, the district spelling bee champions from Coeur d'Alene Public Schools.
I think they got them all. I think so. Well done, everyone. Congratulations. Well done again, everyone. We want to take just a few more minutes to recognize some other members of our 271 family. We're going to recognize first just what happened in January with the freeze and flooding. And the bitter weather in early January wreaked havoc not only on some of our homes, but also with pipes bursting that created significant damage in and throughout our district. A boiler failed at Fernand STEM Academy. Water lines froze and burst, causing damage to about a third of the school, including 4 different classrooms, 2 special needs rooms, the art room, the STEM lab, the front office, and other spaces. While remediation still continues, classes impacted by the water damage were moved to the library, an open classroom, and other rooms as well. Staff volunteers helped make the relocated learning spaces as welcoming as possible to students. The art and STEM lab teachers now bring supplies to each individual classroom so students can continue to learn in those programs. At Lake City High School, flooding displaced 12 employees and 6 classes. The counseling office, home to 5 different counselors, a school psychologist, the registrar, a counseling secretary, and 2 additional critical meeting spaces. All were just very severely damaged. In the immediate aftermath of the flood, 2 assistant principals and Lake City High School's facilities manager hustled to remove furnishings, electrical items, technology out of the counseling offices and into the library. The Early Learning Center was also significantly damaged by flooding when a fire sprinkler burst in the preschool teacher's office. The damage impacted the office and 2 other classrooms as well, causing closure of one side of the building. Teachers and staff worked together to relocate the therapy space, the assessment room, and 5 teachers to other spaces. School was closed for a week while facility teams worked to fix the problem and clear up the damage. The Early Learning Center team responded rapidly, creatively, and with a lot of flexibility to make space still happen. Last but not least, managing the chaos was our facilities team, who worked diligently to create safe spaces for our students and staff to learn and to work. They responded quickly to each situation, working long hours to clean up the water, remove the damaged materials, and to keep our schools open for our students and families. They continue to manage the remediation and repairs. Our heartfelt thanks go out to our building leaders, their teams, their students, and their families, and especially to our facilities team for your leadership, your patience, your positive attitude, and your support for each other throughout this challenge. In particular, we'd like to thank the following folks who are here today on behalf of their schools. And so if you are in the room and I happen to mention you, please stand. From Fernand STEM Academy, Principal Kathy Livingston and Assistant Principal Sandy Doring, who they couldn't be here with us tonight them and their teams. And so a special thanks to Fernand STEM Academy. From Lake City High School, Principal Deanne Clifford, who couldn't be here today, but I do see Principal Brian Kelly and Troy Anderson in your teams. And so if you wouldn't mind standing, we'll give you both. Thank you. From the Early Learning Center, Principal Jenny Jensen, teachers Amy Molson, Brianne Schrader, Brittany Anderson, and Mary Rose, and the school secretary, Brenda Howard, and their teams as well. So big thank you. And from facilities director Mike Westrup and his incredible team, including Frank Ballardo, facilities manager at Fernand, and Sunny Graham, facilities manager at Lake City High School. And so big thanks and a round of applause to them as well. And so once again, all of those folks, if you can all stand again, and we can give you all just a round of applause for sure. We're just really thankful for all that you do, and what a mess. And so thank you for all your work. This evening, we also do want to recognize a member of our 271 family who recently passed away. And so Steve Taylor, facilities manager at Venture Academy, served our district for 22 years as part of the facilities custodial team at our secondary schools, and was well known by many across the district. Steve's supervisor, Bob Harvey, described Steve as hardworking and dependable, and expressed that our custodial staff was heartbroken at Steve's loss. He will be deeply missed. Our thoughts and our sympathies are with Steve's family, his wife, his family and friends and colleagues, as well as Venture's students, staff, and their families in this difficult time. So a big round of applause then too, just for Steve, and thankful. We're thankful for all that are in 271 and thankful for Steve's service. All right. We do have student body reports then this evening. And so we're going to start with Lake City is our first student body report.
Good evening, esteemed board chair, honorable trustees, superintendent Dr. Hawker, and district administration. My name is Luke Sharon, and I'm the ASB president of Lake City High School. Today, I'm joined by Bradley Gilmore, ASB secretary, and Ashley Kearns, ASB vice president. Last month was the annual Fight for the Fish. Huge thanks to Coeur d'Alene High School Student Council for making this event possible. The partnership between our two student governments is something we cherish, and without this collaboration, this event would have not been fun. Now, I'm going to pass it to Bradley to talk a little bit more about this event.
Thanks, Luke. Thank you to Dr. Sean Hawker, Assistant Superintendent Trent Derrick, some of our other school board members, and Dr. Mike Nelson for their attendance at the event. We are proud to have won the fish and are very happy to keep it at home this year. This year, Lake City hosted and picked 2 judges, while CHS picked 3. We would also like to take this opportunity to recognize the months of effort and planning put into this by our student council, as well as the support and encouragement given to us by our Lake City teachers, administrators, secretaries, and custodians. Our entire building came together to make that event a success, and the spirit and energy shown by our incredible student body was the push we needed to send Lake City into the future. We would not be more proud of our Lake City family, and we wanted to publicly acknowledge everyone's work that contributed to our flawless victory. Now, I'm going to pass it to Ashley.
Thank you, Bradley. We spent the month of January congratulating some of our Lake City teams. First, we're very proud of our cheer team who competed at districts this last weekend and throughout the last few weeks have achieved very high scores and won grand champions at 2 competitions. Secondly, our Lake City debate team went to the Thomas Foley Speech and Debate Tournament at University High School, where many of our debaters placed and competed in final rounds. Our Lake City debate team placed high in speaker points, with 2 of our debaters placing in the top 10 of the prestigious Foley Award and 2 of our debaters placing top 2 in speaker points in parliamentary debate. Thirdly, our wrestling team has also found major successes like Garrett Leonard placing first at numerous tournaments Nathan Booth as runner-up in his weight class, and Maddie Cook and Alexis Johnson placing in the top 5. Lastly, our DECA program went to Orlando, Florida, where they placed first in the nation for the coveted Goose Chase Trophy. Now back to Luke to finish us off.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you all tonight and to talk a little bit more about the start of our second semester. We'll see you next month.
Thank you, Lake City, and now we'll hear from Venture.
The week before Christmas break, Venture had a festive spirit week full of holiday cheer. Leadership decorated the building with holiday decorations and awarded students with prizes for those who best dressed to the daily themes. Tuesday, everyone rolled out of bed in their pajamas. Wednesday was Fun Hat Day, and Thursday, everyone was encouraged to wear their wackiest Christmas sweater. Tuesday, students and staff also had a holiday dinner. Students had a tree decorating contest, and they were the centerpieces on the tables. After Christmas Spirit Week was over, the trees were donated to Kootenai Pediatrics and Safe Passage. As students left for break, they were handed mini stockings filled with holiday surprises.
Thank you, Venture. Now we'll hear from Coeur d'Alene High School, ASB.
Good evening, esteemed board chair, honorable trustees, Superintendent Hawker, district employees, and valued community members. I'm Andy Jane Howard, Coeur d'Alene High School's ASB president. Joining me this evening is our ASB vice president, Eden Stevens, our ASB secretary, Jenny Elliott, and our ASB treasurer, Peyton Kahn. We've got quite a bit of information for you this evening because we were not in attendance at the last meeting, so we will be going over both December and January. We cannot talk about January without, of course, talking about Fight for the Fish. You heard a little bit about it from Lake City. I just kind of want to share why we love it. It virtually includes every single aspect of our school, which is so cool. From art to stagecraft to band to choir to cheer to student council to like basically everyone. We created a Star Wars club this year, which was really cool. It was just a really great way to involve kids who aren't really a part of a sport or a part of a club, give them a space to get excited about it. And then also Star Wars was a tricky theme because people who love it, and they know so much about it. So we wanted to get, all the details, all the things that they wanted to see from us. So it was a really incredible opportunity, and it all came together so well. Although the fish will unfortunately be staying at Lake City for another year, just another year. We could not be more proud of how everything turned out, and we want to thank you guys for coming and supporting. And it really was an awesome event. Hopefully one more year. We also want to share with you quite a few of our accomplishments throughout the last couple months, and we've got a lot going on. We've got BPA State this month. We've got basketball state. We've got DECA State. We've got wrestling. There's lots and lots going on, and Eden will share more with you about that.
Yeah, so I'm going to kind of go over some of our musical department, but Coeur d'Alene High School's jazz choir was presented this amazing opportunity to travel to Anaheim, California, and record music in Disney Studios. So that will be March 13th through the 17th, but to do that, they needed money to be fundraised. So last Friday, February 9th, we had the cafe dessert concert, which everyone who bought a ticket got to enjoy a little dessert while they watched our choirs perform. So that was really cool. And they sold out. So that's awesome because going to California to do that will be such a cool opportunity. And if any of you had the privilege of going to our choir concerts, you know that they are amazing. And if you do want to go to some musical concert at our school, the jazz band will be performing on February 20th at 7 p.m. So it's pretty cool. You guys should go.
So I'll be talking about the wrestling team. Through January, our Viking wrestlers have been killing it. Seen through their tough grit and hard work, through their matches, we've taken home many wins. On the 18th of January, our Vikings hosted the Tierhart Cup against Lake City. It's always a blast. It's the week after Fight for the Fish, so it's a good way to fuel the competition some more. The Vikings won it again for the 23rd year in a row. And following that, the next week, the Viking wrestlers hosted the North Idaho Rumble Tournament. And it was such a great tournament, such a great turnout. We always have, worries about issues that might arise during this, but our Viking volunteers, our Viking staff, and our Viking wrestling team really killed it in the execution, and it was a great event, and it just ran very smoothly. During the month of January, we also held All for All, and if you don't know, All for All is the entire month of January. One class holds a charity donation drive for a donation of their choice. So for the first week of January, the freshman class held a children's clothing drive for Children's Village. The second week of January, the sophomores held what they called Christmas for All. So they raised money for kids that didn't get the Christmas that they quite wanted or children in need, and it's just great fundraising. The third week was the junior class, and we held a pet drive and pet toy and food drive for the Hayden Humane Society. And the last drive was the senior class, and they held a towel drive. It's always great to see our community come together, and we can't thank our community members enough. We have a great community at Coeur d'Alene High School and Coeur d'Alene in general. So thank you guys for making it possible for these donations and this great event to be put on another year. Thank you.
I'm going to talk about basketball, cheerleading, and so the boys basketball has their senior night game tonight against Moscow. Right now they have a winning streak of 7-0 in the league, so we're looking forward to them hopefully going to state and taking that win home this year, which would be really cool. The girls basketball won the game against Lake City last Thursday, so they are district champions and will be heading down to state this Wednesday through Sunday to hopefully be the champions of Idaho again. The cheerleading team won the all-girls show and sideline shows to qualify for state last Saturday in Lewiston. So we are so excited to see how the girls basketball and cheerleading do in state and hopefully see our boys head down there soon. Thank you.
As always, thank you for your support and your work that you do for our district. We hope you have a great night, and roll Vikes.
Thank you so much, CHS. I'd like to welcome our student advisory group this evening, and we'd like to hear from you and your report and what's the work you've been up to. It's still not on, so at the bottom.
Testing. There we go. Good evening, Dr. Hawker, Board Chair, esteemed trustees, and Ms. Southwick. My name is Austin Proctor. I am a high school SAG representative from CHS, Coeur d'Alene High School. I'm going to be going over last month the all-level SAG conference that we had at Lake City High School. There we met with Desiree Freeman, the Director of Nutrition Services for the district. There she taught us how we feed 9,000 mouths every single day at the schools that we go to, as well as the different vendors that we are in contracts with, the different regulations that we have from the federal government, and the meal rotations that we go through, and how we can potentially improve those in any way, shape, or form. After discussing that with her, we moved off into each of our individual branches, that being the high school level, the middle school level, and the elementary level. Once we did that, us at the high school level discussed a singular topic or idea that we can contribute to the student body with in a positive manner. We came up with, and I quote, promotion and ease of access to student resources, which is a bunch of words that are kind of convoluted. So to put it simply, the students of the high school student body have a ton of resources and services available to them that they simply do not know about. Our goal as student advisory group in the high school branch going forward is to inform them and communicate to them all of these different services that they have and make it easier for them to access them. Some ideas that we had for that at the time were presentations from upperclassmen to lowerclassmen about the different services, as well as potentially adding a student resource page to the weekly bulletin. At the next student advisory group meeting for the high school level, we plan to invite Miss Stephanie Bales to further brainstorm and come up with the exact methodology by which we're going to communicate to the student body all of these different services and resources. That was pretty much it for the high school representatives. So I will pass it off to Brian with the elementary representatives.
Hello, Dr. Harker, Chair Smith, and Mrs. Southwick, and board members. My name is Brian McNamee, and I am in 4th grade at Darwin Elementary. I am happy to be on SAG. My sister Erin was on SAG 4 years ago when it first started, and my sister Bridget was on the State Student Advisory Group, so it made sense to apply to be on SAG. At our last meeting, we had the entire SAG members at Lake City High School. We spent time getting to know each other, and we talked a lot about all the things that SAG has been successful with this year and the past years. The different SAG lovers got into groups and talked about what we were really passionate about, and the elementary came up with these things, and we are hoping to research from a little problem. Things like more recess equipment for life skill programs, possibly flipping the times for lunch and recess, and bullying. The district's new nutrition director, Mrs. Freeman, came to our meeting and answered questions that we had about school meals. She was really kind and patient with all the questions. We are looking forward to spending time with her again. I was also at the workshop a couple weeks ago, and I enjoyed answering your questions and telling you my thoughts and what my classmates think. Thank you for having us and listening to what SAG has to say. I hope it was helpful for you. It was fun making you laugh. I hope that it will help you make our scores better. I think it is important to ask students what they feel or think because we are living it. You may make the decisions, but we are there. Thank you again for inviting us to the workshop and for listening to us. If you have any questions, we would love to answer them. Thank you.
Trustees, questions or comments?
I don't really have a question. I have a couple comments. I wanted to say thank you both for being here today, and I really appreciate hearing what you guys have to say. Second of all, to kind of go back to our workshop where we had our discussions before, I think there may be some misunderstandings between the board, well, just as to what the role of the board is and how we can conduct business together. And I wanted to make sure that we had some clarity on that. It was brought up that we had talked about with the policy changes as far as dress code, how that was kind of a wonky process, how we ended up working through it all. And it's nice to be able to reflect back on how we could do it better in the future. I think that one of the things that may be misunderstood or maybe hasn't been relayed to SAG at this point yet is that the board has to conduct business in an open meeting. So if we're going to conduct business together with SAG, we can't just go and show up to your meetings and have these discussions together. We actually do have to do that in an open meeting setting. So the workshop work that we did at the last meeting was within those parameters, and that's how we can get that work done. But it is something that we have to schedule out. We have to notice to the public, all of that type of thing. Whereas with the other work that you guys are doing with administration, you're able to do that in your meetings, to be able to have those discussions with administration and make those differences and changes at that point in time. The cogs move a little slower when it comes to doing that with the board. So I think if we communicate better in the future about how to do that and make sure that those meetings get set up along the way, then we'll be able to be more successful in making those changes happen in a little more timely manner. And do you guys have any questions as far as that's concerned?
Well, I was just wondering, I got told that there was a new dress code, but I never was really sure. I never really knew what the dress code was, so I never knew what really changed. So I was wondering next time you guys put it out, if you guys could like show us what the new dress code is. That's all.
Dr. Hocker, do you have some suggestions on how we can get that out to our students a little bit better?
Yeah, we'll meet with our team and make sure that all of the elementary schools. I know the middle schools and high schools were really involved in the dress code, creation. The moving forward, we'll make sure we figure out a way, I guess. Now that there's a new policy that was adopted a couple months ago, make sure that you guys are aware of it. Every one of your principals is always aware, right? And so if there's any dress code violations or anything within your schools, they would bring you in. Your teachers would talk to you about that as well. So, but we'll meet. I'm looking at our assistant superintendents as well. We will meet and make sure that is filtered down through our administration, to our teachers, and then to obviously the students who are most affected by those policies.
Thank you.
You bet.
Thank you both for your reports, and many thanks to your fellow SAG members as well. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Next on our agenda tonight, I just want to recognize our CEA report and thank Mr. Hayes for that, who is here as well this evening. Go ahead.
I had a question about the data. I really thought the data in there was really helpful on our teacher retention. And probably you told us, but where did that come from? I'm not. IdahoSchools.org. Tell me about that.
Yeah, that's the State Department of Education. Okay. It's not their main website, which can be a little bit misleading. But as far as I understand, they're taking that directly from the IC system. Okay. And comparing the reports that the districts give to the state regarding those.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any corrections?
It was super helpful.
Yeah.
It was good information. Thank you for including that in there.
Thank you. All right, we're going to move into our public comment portion of our evening, and that while this is a meeting of the Board of Trustees that takes place in public, it's not a meeting with the public. It's a meeting of the board to conduct district business. The board does allow a public comment period for district-related items, which is limited to no more than 45 minutes in total, unless a majority of the board votes to extend that time frame. Those wishing to address the board during the public comment period are limited to one comment, not to exceed 3 minutes. The designated time, you'll be called up here to the podium. It should be on. Please state your name and city of residence. Please just keep in mind that board members will not respond to public comment. If you have any handouts, you're welcome to give them to Ms. Southwick, who will give them to the rest of the board. Thank you. This evening, then, I do want to welcome Lori Watkins up to the podium, and
Thank you very much for your time.
and let's make sure, is it on?
I'm short. Is it on? Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much for your time and listening to our concerns. I'm here representing several of my coworkers with the transportation department. My name is Lori Watkins. I live here in Coeur d'Alene. I've been a school bus driver for the Coeur d'Alene School District for nearly 8 years now. I drove for about the same length of time in Lewiston, so got a lot of driving experience and being around kids. And I love my job. I love what I do, and helping to be a part of raising our future in our community, with what we do every day. My bus aide is here tonight in support, and she, supports me every day on the bus, with our kids. But our concerns are with our transportation department. A lot of us hired on with 20 hours being when we were eligible for benefits. I've provided documentation for referencing, and that it comes from our employee handbook that states that it's 20 hours to receive benefits. Within our transportation department, though, there's many of our co-workers that are having to make 30 hours to receive benefits, or they have their pay docked. And our concerns are there's no changes in our policy that's in the employee manual. We have spoke with Lisa Loy trying to find out when this changed. We do understand budgets, deficits, repairs, maintenance, everything's, we have this at home, let alone within our school district. But to maintain our budgets as bus drivers, just taking this one department as singly, when our budgets are cut because our route isn't making 30 hours a week or more, and our bus drivers are having to rake leaves, fill potholes, fuel buses, wash other people's buses, things like this, or their pay is docked. If a driver's got a route that's 25 hours, they're getting docked 5 hours on their paycheck to make up for being able to receive their benefits. And it just seems really tough and awkward to budget ourselves within our homes when our routes do change, and when there's talk about changing from a 5-day school week to a 4-day school week. And if that happens, there's no way we can make 30 hours, and nobody's going to come to work for nothing. With what you come has to be docked in order to, pay for the additional charges for the benefits. And my understanding is we're supposed to be an equal opportunity, and it seems like our transportation department is being minimized for our value to the school district if we're the department that's getting our hours cut, our benefits cut. And then we go into our facility itself. I've supplied pictures of our bathrooms. We got one bathroom in the building. We got one bathroom in the shop. And we got 2 porta potties out in the back building. That's what we have for almost 80 people to be using for bathroom facilities there.
And Lori, we value this conversation a lot, but I'm going to have you go ahead and wrap it up.
Okay. Well, we just ask that you take a look, and we understand within the budget there's things to be done, but we don't find where there's anything that has changed in our school policy. The benefits overview of where we have to have 30 hours as opposed to 20 hours to receive benefits. I hope that you'll take the time to look into this. We really do like our jobs. We love working with our coworkers and dedicated, to the future, of our kids and our community here. And we hope that it doesn't go to 20 or to the 4 days a week that we can't financially afford to keep our jobs here with the school district. So thank you for your time of listening and looking into this, and we look forward to any questions you might have to follow up.
Great. Thank you, Lori. Mm-hmm. And Ms. Southwick will make sure that we get all the paperwork that you brought. So there's a pile. So thank you so much. All right. Dr. Hucker?
Yep, I don't have any trust or any comments. I'll let you just move right over to item B for the trustee comments.
Trustee comments, and asked trustee.
Yeah. So I thought I was asked to do a little overview of our long-range planning committee, just kind of an update on that. I mentioned just a little bit in our workshop, I guess just last week. The long-range planning committee, for those who may not know, is made up of members of our community. Many of them are parents, some of them are school employees, some of them work for various businesses in town. We have about 30, is the exact number 30? I don't know, it's 28, yes, thank you. So we meet not quite once, it's like once every 5 weeks, almost once a month, and go over a variety of things. And this year has been a little different in the Long Range Planning Committee because for the last several years, we've been kind of focused, the last decade, we've been kind of focused on growth. We're growing and new buildings, and so this year has been, as our enrollment has started to decline, a kind of a shift in the Long Range Planning Committee, and it's not the conversation we've had for the last several years. But so one of the things we did, and this is what we did at our last meeting, we broke out into small groups. There were 4 or 5 people in each group, and we just had 5 questions that we had asked each group to kind of brainstorm and think through and then share out with us. And some of them had to do with what should they put in their report. It will need to be a different kind of report to us, the board, because we're not building, there's no need to build a new building right now, right? So what kind of things should they put in their report? What kind of information do they need from the school district to be ready to make a report? And then we also asked them to just kind of brainstorm about ideas to increase enrollment and to decrease expenses. So anyway, that was just kind of a brainstorming session they had. Several things that were mentioned by a few groups included a 4 or 5 day schedule. Some were yes, some had some concerns. Several groups discussed potentially closing an elementary school. A couple groups discussed the possibility of increasing class size. Several groups discussed moving the Early Learning Center from a building that is leased to one that we own. And then several groups talked about kind of trying to build community support kind of for some of our maintenance projects. They talked about incentives for attendance. That came up a few times. Several groups were really interested in kind of increasing opportunities in our school, particularly in like for a magnet school, particularly at the middle school level where there's we don't have one really. I guess Lakes is technically a magnet school, but kind of a more smaller. They were looking for a smaller number of student option. And then CTE also, a couple groups talked about that. And then also just they talked a lot about sharing more with prospective students and their families, our successes and the great programs that we have in our district, to sharing that out with students who might be interested in those programs. So that's just kind of a recap of many of the things that came up. The minutes will be available. All the Long Range Planning Committee meeting minutes are on our webpage, so the full minutes will be there. Anything I didn't cover that you wanted?
No, I just thought it was so interesting, and we just kind of breezed over it a little bit at our workshop a little bit, and so I just thought it would be valuable to reflect on the work that Long Range is doing along the way in this process with us, because it is such a community, a gathering of people from around the community.
For sure, yeah. And I think this is an interesting group to kind of talk through this with, because, we've had several meetings this year already where for instance, the decreased enrollment, they already knew about that. They already knew that existed. We actually had our state economist from the State Department of Labor come and share with us that that's to be expected given the lower birth rate that we're experiencing and the age, an older age, average age of home buyers in Kootenai County. So that, it was an interesting group to discuss it with, because they've already been talking through the decreased enrollment piece for a few months. So anyway.
Thank you, Trustee Tenbrink. like to go ahead and welcome then on our ongoing strategic plan update as we touch base all throughout the year on moving our strategic plan forward. Thanks, Dr. Nelson.
A pleasure, Chair Smith. Good evening again, Dr. Hawker and members of the board. It's Valentine's week, if you didn't really remember yet. And we would love to share with you some of the updates that we are working on within our strategic plan. As we have promised to you before, we are devoted to supporting achievement for all students enrolled in our schools. This cannot just be a passive commitment. Instead, we promise to improve it in all 4 goal areas, as well as cherish the values of trust and transparency through that work. In this month's update, we'd like to highlight a few of the practices in goal area 2, specifically around safe, supportive, and collaborative cultures. If we are to really, truly admire the concept of a professional learning community, we will improve teacher morale as part of that. Higher levels of teacher morale are significantly correlated with practices that drive student achievement. In each school and site, we're giving teachers more of the tools that they need and support that they need and the structures that they want to be focused on doing the right work that will boost teacher morale and create the highest levels of social and human achievement that we can measure. How are we doing that? We have a lot of unique practices that are going on. We have talked a lot about numbers 1 and 2. We're already addressing question 1. We are identifying essential standards in every course. By the time students arrive this next year, parents and guardians should have a list of every standard that a student will master in every course that they take this next year. In question number 2, we are developing and implementing common assessments in every course so that when we do have that precious Monday morning time, we can sit and have a common conversation about how our students are performing. Then we start talking about questions 3 and 4. Once we understand the standards, we understand how students are performing, we can start saying, what are we going to do when Mike hasn't understood the concept yet? Or what are we going to do when a student is already well beyond that standard and deserves an opportunity to have additional challenge in depth and in breadth? One of the things that's happening is actually happening at Lakes Middle School. So I would like to take you back in the time machine to August of this last year during our hosted PLC Institute. The very first keynote that we had was from Mike Matos, and you can see a quote from him on the screen from an earlier time. During this time, all of Lakes' staff and all of our district instructional staff are in the same room. We all heard Matos implore to us to include time in our master schedules at each school so that teachers respond collectively to student needs. It's not just the job of a teacher to celebrate and acknowledge the needs and wants of a student. It's the community's expectation to be able to do that. So, with the direction of Principal Jeff Bankston and Assistant Principal Aaron Drake, they started thinking, how could we really make this happen? And after several weeks of collaboration with their faculty, plans were unveiled to students through TV 271. Come on, video. Come on, video.
Lakes has a new program called Flex Time, which is an enrichment and intervention class. This will take place every Wednesday starting this week right after second period for 30 minutes. You will sign up today in advisory and every Monday after that.
So I know that was just a quick blip of their TV 271, but now, every Wednesday, Lakes has an adaptive schedule for 30 minutes. Each student is engaged in specialized time for intervention or enrichment. Each teacher creates a session based on common needs. So, if they're trying to address a common gap that they've identified, or starting a new pep band, or working on an art or a woodshop project that's behind in the allotted time. There are a lot of options, and they have bound together to be able to say what they can do to address individual student needs or extend addressing questions 3 and 4. For example, when reviewing the results of a 6th grade common assessment in mathematics, teacher Katie Palmer found that several students still had not mastered improper fractions. That's when your numerator is higher than your denominator and you reduce. Well, ultimately, she had the ability to be able to create a session on that Wednesday on improper fractions. And she was able to grab any of the students who hadn't quite mastered that topic yet, bring them together, and have a common lesson. So how does this look? Okay, come back over here. There we go. Come on.
Lakes has a new program.
So, they are trying out a new piece of software, and I should also say that Coeur d'Alene High School is in a similar type of boat. You can see here, this is their dashboard from RTI Scheduler. They have 582 students at Lakes Middle School. 582 students received specialized instruction last Wednesday. And you can see it on the right-hand side, bottom corner. You can see all of those different colors represent different departments. You have math, ELA, science, social studies, the arts, woodshop, all represented on that, even physical education. An example was we had some students in 7th grade physical education who had not yet mastered their mile in running the mile at a particular point in time. They had the opportunity to do some extra conditioning and extra practice and try that mile again. Imagine how impactful it is for a teacher that you may not even know wanting to say, I want to help you improve in this topic. They're already taking those steps to do that. It was actually created by students. Students helped create the rules for this time. There's a Google Doc linked in the slideshow if you would like to take a look at this along the way, but those are the bullets that the students said they wanted for this particular time. They agreed to come to classes prepared, using the time the best that they can, to stay in class for the entire session, and to strive for a growth mindset. The teaching staff at Lakes also created expectations. They may not know these students, but they wanted to make an impact with them as soon as they walked up to that door. To get to know them, they already knew what their deficit or need was, but just to make a relationship with them and to share those next steps, recognizing that it may take more than just one Wednesday session. Collectively, they even created workshop expectations, where they thought about how are we going to create an environment for this 30 minutes that sets the stage for learning and tries to find out what every kid needs and provide them that mastery access. It's been pretty cool. We're going to share more with it because everything's in pilot right now at both Lakes and Canfield, or Lakes and Coeur d'Alene High School. Coeur d'Alene High School just started their first breakout this last week. But everything that we have seen and heard from our building leaders tells us that we're on the right path. We'd also like to share a little bit about our work with high reliability schools. We've told you that there are 6 schools in the gray box that are pursuing level 1 certification by the end of this year. We are on track for those 6 schools to attain that certification. But it also is important to remind us that even those 11 schools on the right-hand side of the screen, they know it's coming. So they have been invited to part of the conversation as well. In fact, sorry, Dr. Hucker, I took a picture of when you didn't know. But we had a meeting with Toby Bose. He's in the bottom right-hand corner. He's called our adjudicator. And he's working with all 17 buildings and taking a look at the evidence that they're collecting. There are 8 different standards for level 1. I'm going to read them, and thank you, Dr. Hawker, for lending me your glasses because I did not do a good job in packing today. Faculty and staff perceive the school environment as safe and orderly. Each of our schools will have to have evidence that shows that that is working. And it could be different for all of those 6 buildings. Students, parents, and community perceive the environment as safe and orderly. Teachers are given formal roles in the decision-making process for schools. Teachers and staff collaboratively address common issues regarding curriculum assessment, instruction, and academic success for all students. Faculty and staff had formal ways to give input regarding optimal operations of the schools. Parents, students, and community members have formal ways to give input regarding optimal operations at the school. Success of the school as a whole, as well as individuals within the school, is appropriately recognized. And management of fiscal, operational, and technological resources directly supports teachers. In reading those 8 statements, I hope you see the same synapse that's firing off in my brain saying, that's measuring our strategic plan. That's each of our 4 areas, trust and transparency, through to achievement. So each of our buildings are going through that process. Dr. Tammy Heffelbauer is in the upper right-hand corner, second box over. This was a group of our elementary educators. And again, you'll recognize that even though Mr. Depew and Mrs. Kuvista or Mrs. Silvers is up there somewhere, the 2 principals of Ramsey and Sorensen who are pursuing this year are there. But other people are listening in, watching, and they're starting to collect their evidence as well. The final piece for you, I know there's a lot in this particular presentation, is about our work. We actually went a little bit backwards on our Gantt chart this month, but it's a good reason. We added 9 new tasks. So we are consistently updating that with what we're working on right now. We marked 2 off, so we're a total of 61 tasks right now, 13 tasks finished, and another 6 which should be done before spring break. In fact, if you notice our strategic plan banner, you'll notice 2 new columns up there. We got up and replaced them in there, so we'll have a brand new updated instructional framework which reinforces our intervention practices, hopefully right before spring break. And we are in the process of refreshing all of our district website content right now. We expect that to be done by tax day. That's a lot. I appreciate the time that you've given to us, but certainly we are very excited of the work that we're doing. We certainly have a lot to make us feel like we're going forward together.
Terrific. Thanks, Dr. Nelson. Questions?
Yeah, I want to go back, if I may, on the RTI scheduler.
Yes,
That's
ma'am.
very interesting to me.
It is interesting to us.
So going forward for the rest of the year, we're going to do this every Wednesday special session.
As
correct?
of right now, the staff
the
of
2 schools.
Lakes and Coeur d'Alene High School have committed to continuing through the entire semester. If it's successful, and they're sharing also at Admin Council, as to what they're feeling as well. So all of our 17 buildings are getting a little bit of a taste of it. If it's successful, it is something that we could bring in throughout our entire district.
And my other question is, do the kids get to choose their sessions, or are they directed into those sessions?
It's a little bit of both.
It's a hybrid.
I would imagine the kids that
It's a
need
mix of
the
both.
actual intervention should be directed into those intervention
Yeah,
courses.
the RTI scheduler software is created by a teacher, and so we had a workshop back in the fall with the creator of the particular software. And how it works for the scheduling is teachers, you can set up in a lot of different ways, but the way that we think it'll work best, like our core content teachers, they get the first option of selecting the students into those sessions. So it's kind of a tiered approach. So students that they feel like need to have that intervention time, they actually say, you need to come to my session. And then, go ahead. It sounds like you have a
Sorry.
question. No,
Just-
that's all right. I know.
I'm sorry, my brain starts going. I was just wondering, how do the kids know then? How is that communicated to the students?
So it's the platform. It's all set up. The RTI scheduler works with our Skyward, and so therefore, that every email during their advisory, they get onto the software and they can see if they've been selected to go to a different session or not. And if they haven't been selected to go to a session, then they can choose sessions. So then they have the option to go to whatever session they would like to go to. And then finally, if there's still no sessions that some students have chosen to go to, then administration can go in and self-select those students to where they need to go. So it's a very interesting, and it's incredibly well thought through, and we're pretty excited about it. I think it has a tremendous amount of potential for our district.
I think so. I'm
Yeah.
excited to see what kind of results we get out of
Yeah,
that.
this Wednesday is the first time that CHS is going to run it for the high school. So I was looking at the dashboard today, and they have 1,500 students, so all
Great.
put into different sessions. So.
Yes. Thank you very much. Mike, I was going to ask you, is there any way, I don't know about anybody else, but I can't read that. If there would be a way to just make us just one we can keep in our folder.
Anything
so
for
we
you?
could I mean, I can see the bottom just fine, but the rest of it I can't read, even with my glasses.
No problem.
Okay, thank you.
We'll get that taken care of for
Thank you.
Any additional questions? Thank you, Dr. Nelson.
My pleasure. Thank you.
All right. Next up, we have our consent agenda. Is there any discussion or questions on anything on consent this evening? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda as presented?
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, consent agenda is approved. We have 3 items there for additional information, and the first is the monthly financials, and I don't believe that Shannon has a presentation or anything this evening, but I will point out just to the community in general is that we did just have 2 workshops on our financials, and I would point everyone back to our YouTube channel to really take advantage of seeing those as well. And then in this board packet this month, there is a really thorough narrative that really speaks to a lot of the details within our financials. And then at the end of our board packet is a number of questions that were submitted by the by trustees as well regarding our financials. And so because this is such a big, important topic for us right now, I would just encourage folks to go back in and take a look at those. Any other questions on any of that additional information right now?
I'm not seeing our board Q&A actually showing up on the agenda yet.
Probably not, because we just did it. So because it just came to us. So typically by tomorrow, Ms. Southwick will repost it.
Okay.
And everything. So, all right, then we're going to go in then to our next action items for first reading, and these are 4 different classes. And so, Dr. Hawker, do you want to kind of present that then? And
Sure, you bet. Well, before you, there's 4 first reading. These are additional coursework. We do have our curriculum coordinator on the phone. She wasn't able to make it in person, but she has called in. And so if anybody has any specific questions about any of those courses, we'd certainly be able to answer those at this time. But for today, our hope is to just approve those as a first reading, and then we'll put those out for additional, community input, and then possibly act on those at a future board meeting.
So I have a couple questions, and these might be Katie questions.
Katie, are you there just to make sure?
Maybe she's.
I know she was there when we started the meeting.
Just to make sure. Hi, yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, hi, Katie.
So my first question was about the applied general science class.
Just to make sure. Can you hear me? Yes, can you hear me? Yes. Yeah, hi, Katie.
Yeah,
So
Katie,
my first question was about the.
I think you're on a delay right now. Katie, let's. All right, Katie, can you hear us?
Well, I can hear you. I can hear you. I was listening to you through my phone, which is slightly delayed, but unfortunately, I'm not able to hear you over this feed.
Oh.
All right.
Well, yeah. So my first was just as I read the applied general science course, it looks to me like it does not. It's an elective science course. It does not fulfill a science graduation requirement. And maybe some of you know that answer. That's correct. Okay. So
That is.
Oh, good.
I can hear you now. I'm sorry about that. Yes, that's correct. This would be for students who are generally in our special education population, in order for them to be able to receive as close to essential standard or as close to on grade level essential standards in science as possible.
Oh, okay. So students in this class, excuse me, students in this class would not necessarily move on to a general science, physical science class?
It would probably depend on their IEP or their specific path of study.
Okay. And then my other question was on the intro to calculus class. I think this would actually be a great addition. I just wanted to confirm we're not going to drop AP calculus.
No.
Okay.
No. This is in addition to the calculus that we already have, the dual credit calculus. What our instructor and our administrators were finding was that it was very difficult for some students to find a pathway back into math if AP calculus wasn't working for them. And so this would be a pathway to keep them in math.
And during their senior year. Okay.
Yes, during their senior year.
Okay, thank you.
Katie, this is Leslie Bierke. I'm on the general science. Do we have a demand for the applied general science? We might now that you explained the purpose for this class, but is there enough kids that would seek a class like this to have this addition?
My understanding is that yes, we do have demand currently for a course like this, which was why it was written for that group.
Okay. And then my other question was on the sociology. That would be currently using the sociology 2. Wait, do we have a sociology 1? Did I read that somewhere?
Yes, we have a sociology 1. Well, we just called it sociology because there was no need to number at that point.
Okay.
But we currently have a sociology course. It's a semester long, and the text that we use for that could also be used for sociology 2. My understanding is that the administration would like to run it on opposite cycles. So it would be sociology 1 during one semester, sociology 2 during a second semester. So the same text could be used in both courses.
And this is okay, and this is an elective. So is the goal to get most students from just to a year's worth of sociology instead of what we've been doing, which is a semester?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it would.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Is there any further questions? I know that.
I guess I have just one more comment. My suspicion is a lot of this work was done because we added electives and core subject areas for Lake City High School students. So it's nice to see several options come there.
And I think we had some matching questions just in our board book regarding cost, and there's really stayed cost neutral. So, all right. There is a motion then that we can accept all 4 courses. So there is a motion on the first applied general science there. If anyone would like to make a motion this evening.
I can move to accept the 4 new courses proposed for Lake City High School and advance them to the public comment or public review process.
Is there a second? Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, we'll move all 4 and look forward to those coming back to us. We've got the next action item, because we're not doing 9, is just our board meeting schedule. We talked about this at our last workshop, and so is there a motion or any further discussion?
Sean, I know Allie brought up last time the July meeting, and you were going to check with Marianne. Did you follow up with that?
We did. We checked with Marianne, and you have your choice whether you'd like to keep that on the 8th or the 15th. Either one we can make work. There's no ramifications of moving it to the 15th. I think there was some conversation perhaps that having it earlier in July might be better for each of you so that you have a little longer of July to enjoy without a meeting.
I think it was the opposite, actually.
Without a meeting in the middle. Would you like to move it to the 15th?
15th, just so we'd have more of a cushion there.
Yeah.
You're totally up to you. You get to set these.
That for sure.
And I can go either way. I thought the 8th, because I was like, oh, we're just done. And then we have like a big long break. It was kind of the way I was looking at it when they asked.
What about if we
Makes
moved it to the
no
beginning
difference to me.
Yes, and then we'd be done for the whole month. That might be too soon.
That's
That would be
probably
really
too
soon
for-
to
That'd
approve
be
any
hard for
financials.
financials,
Yes.
right?
So,
Oh, that's
Okay.
true.
so
All
yeah.
right.
Would we, for financials, do you think having that extra week would actually work in our favor then? Doesn't matter.
I don't think it matters, but I think it's really your preference. We can make either work. It's a unique one-off.
I move to approve the 2024 board meeting schedule as presented, except for July, moved the July meeting to July 15th.
Is there a second?
I can second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, there we go. We got a schedule. All right, thanks. Good. There is now, let's see here. Dr. Hawker, you want to?
Yes, thank you, Chair Smith. One last consideration of action item. With all of our conversation of a hybrid schedule or a 4-day week or all of that stuff, it has really created some potential concern in adopting next year's calendar at this month's meeting. We were prepared to present next year's calendar, and we just felt like if the board were to make a change in the next few months, that could get even more complicated if parents made plans based upon that. So what we would like to do today is just simply ask for your approval of what we'll call the framework to the calendar for next school year. That way our folks would know when the start of school is, when the Christmas winter holiday is, when spring break is, some of those major breaks. And really, I guess I just should list all of those. So it was Thanksgiving, winter break, and spring break, and of course the start of school. Those 4 dates are listed there in your board packet. And so I think regardless of whatever schedule the board may adopt for next year, we would hold true to those dates being within that calendar. So I think it would give a good opportunity to let our parents know this framework, if you will, so they could make their plans. And while we continue to work on a finalization of a calendar over the next few meetings.
One thing that's not on there would be just the last day of school is oftentimes important. Any idea?
I didn't put that on there simply because your schedule could change that, right? If you do change to a hybrid or something, you may get out of school a week early, or we just didn't know. So we left that one as kind of the floater, but you're correct. That's another date. People do want to begin their summer plans. But we were able to identify at least these 4 dates for sure.
Perfect. Any comments, questions, concerns? All right. Anyone want to make a motion? There's a printed motion right there.
I move to approve the no school holiday calendar framework for the 24-25 school year as presented.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that'll help families.
Yes, thank you.
Just to do that. We have a couple of future dates coming up. We've got ISBA Day on the Hill, and Trustee McAndrew is headed to that. We've got the next week already is the National School Board Association Conference that all 5 of us will be at, actually. And then our next regular school board meeting is March 11th right here. So is there a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right. Thanks, everyone.